Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to the another session of MBA Pathshala. As you know that earlier we did sessions related to parajumbles, reading comprehension, summary questions. So in today's session, we're gonna focus on odd sentences. These are cat real questions. Okay. So very first thing, let's study a little about what odd sentences are. So this is again a part of, I must say, parajumble again, because again a passage will be given to you. Okay. So let me just, okay, excuse me. So one passage will be given to you and you have to identify one sentence which doesn't belong to that particular paragraph given to you. Okay. The paragraph will be in the form of sentences only. So you have to just identify one sentence that does not belong to the passage. Now there can be multiple reasons behind that why that particular sentence does not belong to the passage. Okay, first is which is pretty rare but the easiest one. When some pronoun is given, suppose they is given, and in the entire passage you see that there is not even a single sentence which is talking about a group of people, and obviously they is used for a group of people only. So as I can see, there is no group of people in the entire passage, but in a sentence I'm talking about they. So that shows that this is actually something which does not belong to the paragraph. Why? Because they has nothing to reflect to. वो किसको address कर रहा है? That leaves a question mark. So that makes the passage incomplete. Okay. So that is something which we consider out of context. Now second, which is the most common one. Okay. That the content excuse me, the content is not related to the passage. Now first thing, if you feel that all sentences will be easier just because we need to identify one sentence जिसमें content is not similar, so yes, you are correct, but you have to keep one thing in your mind, that the topic will be same. Okay, topic will be same, terminology will be same, styling will be same, structure will be same. So you cannot easily identify, it won't happen that four sentences are talking about environment and suddenly one sentence is talking about Bollywood. That won't happen. Okay. Now, so let's proceed with the topic. We solve question and let's see that how we can identify odd sentence. Okay. Before that, I would like to inform you guys that we have come up with this 45 days CAT marathon by IM Alumni. Okay, so in this you will get an intense preparation. You will get chance to study from IM alumni and a lot more. You have a lot more to gain, and basically this is supposed to be an entirely intense preparation which you're supposed to take before 45 days before starting of the CAT. If you want to know more about this particular 45 days marathon, the link is given in the description box. You guys can click over there and have more details about it. Okay, so now let's start with our session. Okay, so as you can see, this is how a particular passage looks like. Okay, whenever we talk about odd one out, as you can see, the passage is pretty similar to parajumble only. Same happens with us in parajumble as well. 4 or 5 sentences are given to you and we need to just rearrange them in a logical sequence. So one more thing you guys can keep in your mind, which will eventually help you out in identifying the odd one out. Whenever I'll eliminate, suppose मैंने A को eliminate कर दिया, okay, so when I'll eliminate A, B, C, D, E, उनका एक logical sequence तो बनेगा ही. Okay, so I have two hints. First, one sentence that does not belong to the passage, and remaining sentences will make a coherent paragraph. Okay, so these are the certain things which you need to keep in your mind while solving the question. Now let's proceed for the question. Let's see what question says. Okay. For feminists, the question of how we read is inexorably linked with the question of what we read. It means these are the two factors which feminists keep in their mind whenever they read anything. That is how and what. Second says, Ilian Showalter's critique of the literary curriculum is exemplary of this work. Okay, second says that the Showalter's critique, it means assessment of literary curriculum is an example of such kind of work. Now, androcentric literature structures the reading experience differently depending on the gender of the reader. Okay, Androcentric means certain things which are men centric. It means those things revolve around the men only. Okay, something which we write by keeping men in our mind. Okay, so C describes us that what androcentric literature is all about. Okay, D says the documentation of this realization was one of the earliest tasks taken by feminist critique. Okay, so it is again talking about some work undertaken by feminist critiques. E says more specifically, the feminist inquiry into the activity of reading begins with the realization that the literary canon is androcentric and that this has a profoundly damaging effect on women readers. Okay, so this is all about the passage. Now let's see what passage is actually talking about. So as we can, if we have to connect certain things, what we can see the passage is all about feminism and the reading content and the type of content they are reading. Okay, so going by it, we can say that first sentence is about feminist literature, especially what women read. So because for feminists, this is basically important, that what they read and how they read. So first sentence talks about feminism, what they read and how they read, what and how. Now, B talks about kind of literature work जिस पे पूरा assessment किया this Elan Showalter मैन ने, which is an example of content which women read. Okay, so this is again about something related to the content which women read. Okay, C talks about that. C basically talks about the androcentric literature. It means men-centric literature, what it is. Okay, D. So basically, D talks about the, again, one, documentation of this realization. It means the content which feminist takes into their consideration. Okay, fifth one is again talking about women realizes that most literary canons are androcentric. It means when women realize that whatever content they are reading, that is basically revolving around the men only. Okay, it means that entire content is based on the point of view of men. They are actually not considering that in this world even women exist. Okay, so this is something damaging for me if I'm a woman and I'm reading such content which is only revolving around men. It means this is good for them, this is bad for them, this is something they're supposed to do, this is something they're not supposed to do, but they are not even considering women aspect. So that is something damaging for me. True. So if we have to make a coherent paragraph, we can actually relate A, B, D, and E because all four sentences are talking about content and women point of view. Content women read and how they feel, what is the impact of that content on women. Okay, so this is all four sentences are talking about. Whereas C, if you can see that C has something similar to this one, uh, E1, that both are, sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay, androcentric. So obviously, as I told you, terminology, vocabulary, style, topic, everything will remain same. It's just about that what we are talking about. One sentence will be introducing a different topic. Okay, something related to that particular thing only. So again, we are talking about literature only. But हमारा point क्या था? What was our central idea? Our central idea was women and what they read and their impact on that's impact, the impact of content. Whereas C is basically addressing that what that literature is. Okay, this is something which is not our topic. Okay, so what we can do, we can choose C as out of context. True, because central idea, content related to women, what they are reading and how they feel, impact of that content on women, and how various critiques are tackling that particular incident. Okay, this particular event, this particular scenario present in the society. Whereas C is simply describing कि क्या होता है androcentric literature. Okay, so that's why A, B, D, and E, they are related somehow with each other, whereas C does not relate it to the content. Okay, any question related to this particular thing? Okay, so I'm considering that you guys have no questions, so I'm proceeding further. Okay, let's see this one. Again, odd one out. The victim's trauma after assault rarely gets the attention that we lavish on the moment of damage that divide the survivor from a less encumbered past. Okay, so first is basically talking about that whenever a victim goes through certain assault, that assault rarely gets any attention. What we are relying on, that actually becomes, something interesting story for us. Okay, there is a crime happening, this happened, that happened, this is what taking place. Okay, what actually happened with that victim, what trauma that particular person is going through, that we are paying no attention to. Okay, so this is what A is talking about. One thing we often do with narratives of sexual assault is sort their respective parties into different temporalities. It seems, excuse me, we are interested in perpetrators, future, and victims past. Okay, so narrator, it means we can say that something related to story, something related to, when someone is delivering this particular incident to someone, I saw this incident, I came to know that particular incident took place, and I'm actually narrating this, maybe through newspaper, maybe through social media, maybe one to one. Okay, so that is basically entirely focused on what was the victim's past and what gonna be that culprit's future. This is something on which our entire focus is on. We are actually ignoring the fact that we are actually ignoring that damaging fact. So one result is that we don't have much of vocabulary for what happened in victim's life after the painful past has been excavated, even when our shared language gesture toward the future, as the term survivor does. Okay, again we go for some elaborated way that how this particular thing is taking place. We don't have much vocabulary. We definitely cannot describe that painful act. We can dig it in, okay, but actually we cannot just pay little attention on. We cannot feel it. Can we? No, right? So basically, we don't have a proper vocabulary for that. So it basically says that we don't have much to say about what happened in victim's life after the painful past has been digged in. It means we are just keep scratching it. Okay. So D says even the most charitable question asked about the victims seems to focus on past in pursuit of understanding of or of collaboration of painful details. Okay, D says that those charitable, it means good questions asked about victims, they also seems to be focused on past. Many times you can relate it to real life also, that whenever you come across certain, that certain painful unfortunate incident took place, and what you see that people actually talk about victims past, that entire scenario is focused on their past. It's not about that what is their present. True. So D is talking about this. As more and more stories of sexual assault have been made public in last 2 years, the genre of their telling has exploded. Crime have a tendency to become not just stories but genre. Okay, so if I read the passage, what I can see that A, B, matlab every single sentence is basically talking about that how we see a particular event, an unfortunate event. Okay, whenever there is a victim and a culprit. So basically, E becomes the introductory because it is actually introducing us that what we are expecting from the passage. Okay, so E is more about this, that we are actually coming up with that what our passage is about to talk about. So E becomes our introductory. Now, as E is introducing us with the stories and narration, and genre, it can be immediately followed by narratives. Okay, because this is something we have introduced in E. So E and B supposed to be in the passage. Now, proceeding further, after that, what we can state, we can state that this thing is in trend of information that we are delivering the incident to others. Second talks about narration. Then first talk about that what basically we narrate. Okay, that what basically respond of the public, as it says that we basically don't pay much attention on that victim. We are more enjoying it, kind of that has become an thriller story for us, that has become an entertaining story for us. So A again talks about it. Now C, sorry, C is something again talks about that more like a conclusion, that we don't have vocabulary for it, but still it is something we cannot feel it, kind of. D is also falls in the passage because it again talk about that how things are focused on their past. So now the question arises that all these 5 sentences are related to each other. Okay, all are talking about that how insensitive we have become. All we are talking about that how victims passes more glorified ki aisa tha waisa tha, but we are not paying attention in present. We are talking about that how insensitive we are toward that particular incident. Okay, so all 5 sentences are talking about that particular thing only. Now the question arises that how am I supposed to come up with that which sentence does not belong to the category? Okay, which sentence does not belong to the passage? Because there has to be one sentence which I need to eliminate. So what I can do is, let's see this way. You may come across this situation many a times. So there are multiple situations when other sentences are dependent on each other grammatically. Okay, or one sentence is not making sense grammatically again. So when every single sentence fits in, it seems like a part of the passage. It seems like context is not at all out of the league. All 5 or 4 whatever number you have of sentences, they are absolutely going with each other. In that case, you need to pay attention on grammar. Okay, that's the only thing which can help you out. Now if I see there is one flaw I see, that is even. Even is basically used when we are giving an extra emphasis on certain things. So even अपने साथ में क्या information ला रहा है? Most charitable question asked about the victim. Okay, so it means something related to questions. It means something, a nature of questions has been discussed in any other sentence as well, which I cannot see. Okay, so though it can easily go with the sentence, but I need an additional sentence to justify this even. Because if I'm using even without any additional sentence which can justify my even, this becomes grammatically incorrect, or this becomes incomplete passage. This becomes a passage from which one information is missing because we have even here. Okay, so I need one more sentence which can justify my even, which I cannot see in any of the sentence जो मेरे even को justify करे. So in that case, despite D also fits in the paragraph, I have to eliminate D because it is making the sentence grammatically incomplete. It somewhere leaves question mark in reader's brain that what this even is addressing to. It means वो किसको emphasis कर रहा है, कुछ similar nature का information और होना चाहिए related to asking questions, which is not there in the passage. So in this case, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna eliminate D. Okay, any doubt related to this? If you guys have any doubt, you guys can come up with this. Okay, as I can see that you guys have no doubt, so let's proceed for next question. Okay, now again 5 sentences are there. We have to identify that which particular sentence does not belong to the category. Okay, excuse me, let's start reading it. This one is pretty easy. You guys can keep solving together. We guys can solve it. Okay, so A says you can observe the truth of this in every e-business model ever construed, monopolize, and protect data. Okay, economists and technologists believe that a new kind of capitalism is being created, different from industrial capitalism, as was merchant capitalism. Okay, so A is basically talking about monopoly and protect data. B is talking about capitalism. Now, let's see what C is talking about. In 1962, Kenneth Arrow, the guru of mainstream economics, said that in a free market economy, the purpose of inventing things is to create intellectual property rights. Okay, so somehow it is again related to data, that is intellectual property rights. Okay, D. There is, alongside the world of monopolized information and surveillance, a different dynamic growing up: information as a social good, incapable of being owned or exploited or prized. Okay, So fourth sentence is again talking about facts related to information and data. As we can see, information as a social good, again monopolized information and and surveillance, true. So this is again somehow talking about same thing. Yet information is abundant. Information goods are freely replicable. Once a thing is made, it can be copied and pasted immediately. Okay, so in this case again we are talking about information and data. Okay, some additional information related to this. So as I can see that A, C, D and E, all four are clearly talking about something related to data and monopolized. Okay, whereas B is not even in a single way related to the any of the sentence given in the passage. We cannot see any connection, not just with the entire passage but not even with a single sentence that we can relate to. Why? Because A, C, D, E, all four sentences are talking about protecting data, something related to information surveillance, business and technologies. Okay, it is talking all about that. Whereas B brings a new topic, that is capitalism. So capitalism is basically, that economy in which only private firms control the entire economy and political things. Okay, so political scenario and economic scenario entirely controlled by private firms. Okay, this is something absolutely irrelevant to us because A, C, D, E, information, technology, monopolies, protecting data, surveillance, and information. Whereas B, suddenly वो कहीं से capitalism के बारे में बात करे. Though economists and technologists are there, but they are not related to what we are talking about. They are not talking about something related to data. They are talking about creation of a new economy, that is capitalist economy. Okay, so they are talking about the creation of economy that is capitalism in nature. Okay, so I can clearly see that B is definitely out of context. Okay, so don't get misled by economists and technologists that they are also somehow related to it. This is just opinion of a group of people. Maybe some economists and some technologists believe in this particular thought. Okay, but this is not related to technology or economy. Okay, now any question you guys have, you guys can come up with this. Okay, B. Yes, Madhur, your answer was absolutely correct. It is B. Okay, so I think you guys must have enjoyed this particular session, and I hope I have cleared many of your doubts, and you may have gained at least a little bit from this particular session. Okay, so see you guys in next session. Let's hope that we'll come up with a very helping topic which might help you in your CAT examination. And for more information, you can just go through this 45 days marathon. Description link, the link is in description box. You guys can simply click on it and have entire information related to marathon. Okay, chalo. By the time, bye bye, take care, and make sure that you guys practice well. Okay.